Today, we're diving into something that is genuinely changing the game for jewelry designers. It's a tool called AlgoJewels, and it's all about taking the craft from, a static, rigid process into a super dynamic digital future. So let's see how it actually does that.
Okay, so for any jewelers or designers listening, this question, yeah, this probably hits really close to home, right? I mean, you've spent hours, maybe even days, getting a CAD model just perfect. The client loves it, but then they ask for one tiny change. Can we make the ring size a little different? Or what about a slightly larger stone? And boom, suddenly you're staring down a mountain of adjustments, and it feels like you're right back at square one. To really get why this new way of thinking is such a big deal, we gotta look at the old way first, that traditional process that, well, designers know all too well. This flowchart just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the friction in the old system. You'll notice it's not a nice, clean, straight line. It's a maze of feedback loops. See all those arrows pointing backward that say return to CAD designer for redo? Every single one of those means lost time, lost money, and a whole lot of frustration. And here's the real problem, the thing that causes all that pain. Traditional CAD, it's all based on what's called static modeling. That means every single line, every curve, every prong on a setting, it's locked in place. It's fixed. So if you have to change something fundamental, you literally have to go in and manually redraw and readjust everything that's connected to it. It is so painstaking, and it just crushes any desire to experiment or iterate. But what if there was a better way? What if your designs weren't so rigid? What if they could be fluid, intelligent, and even responsive? Well, that's the promise of the parametric future. Parametric design. This is the key concept we really need to wrap our heads around. It's a whole different philosophy where all the parts of your design are linked together by rules and relationships. Think of it like a smart model. You don't just draw a ring shank. You tell the computer how it relates to the ring size and the stone setting. So when you change one thing, everything else just updates automatically. This image does such a great job of showing the whole workflow. Over on the left, you've got your concept, your sketch. Then that idea goes into the parametric engine right there in the middle. Now, instead of building a stiff, unchangeable model, you're just playing with simple sliders for things like ring size, curvature, and gemstone type. The whole design updates in real time, which lets you perfect it digitally before it ever becomes a real physical object on the right. And that brings us to the tool that actually makes this all possible for jewelers. So let's meet the star of the show, AlgoJewels. The branding here really tells the story, doesn't it? You've got this green grasshopper, which is a cool little nod to the grasshopper software it's built on, and it's transforming into this perfectly crafted ring. It totally captures their mission statement. The future of jewelry CAD design is parametric design. This isn't just another program, it's a bold statement about where the entire industry is going. So what is AlgoJewels really? Well, you can call it AJ for short. It's a specialized parametric engine that plugs right into the popular 3D modeling software Rhino, and it uses its visual programming tool called Grasshopper. The most important part, though, it was built by jewelers for jewelers, and it's designed specifically for people who aren't coding experts. Think of it less like a scary blank program and more like a digital workbench, already stocked with all the specialized tools a jeweler could ever need. Okay, so we know what it is, but how does it actually work? Let's break down the mechanics because they're actually surprisingly simple. The best way to get your head around the logic of AJ is to think about a recipe. Every jeweler already has a step-by-step process in their head for making a ring. AlgoJewels just helps you translate that recipe into a visual, digital set of instructions, an algorithm. And here we go. This is a perfect example. We're looking at a single AlgoJewels component, the ring sizer. See how the logic just flows from left to right? On the far left, you have your inputs, things like which country's sizing system to use and the actual ring size you want. The compute engine in the middle does all the hard math. And then on the right, you get your outputs, a perfect circle for the ring, a tube surface, and other geometry you can use. Okay, but this is where the real magic happens. Remember that perfect ring circle we just made? Well, that circle now becomes the input for the very next step in our recipe. Maybe it's the component that actually builds the shank of the ring. It's like you're snapping digital Lego blocks together. Seriously, each block does one specific job, and you just connect them one after another to build a complete, and get this, a completely adjustable piece of jewelry. And here it is, the whole digital workbench. The AlgoJewels toolbar is just packed with these Lego blocks, and they're all organized into tabs that a jeweler would immediately recognize. Curves, gemstones, settings, shanks, you name it. It's a massive library of tools that gives designers a huge head start on building their own unique design recipes. So we get the how. Now for the fun part. Let's look at the what. The incredible, stunning designs that are now possible when you work this way. So on the left, you've got this clean, classic bezel set ring. And on the right, a much more complex 5-stone band. But here's the thing, both were built using that same component-based logic. The beautiful part is that for that 5-stone ring, a designer could just decide, you know what, let's try 7 stones, or change their spacing or their size, and the entire ring would just rebuild itself to match. It's incredible. And hey, this isn't just for simple, clean designs. Just look at the amazing complexity in this piece. Every single one of those colorful flourishes, the bezel, the little mill-grain details, it's all controlled by parameters. This just goes to show that parametric design isn't limiting your creativity. If anything, it unlocks a whole new level of intricate artistic freedom. Take something like pavé settings. I mean, manually placing dozens, sometimes hundreds, of tiny stones and claws is one of the most tedious jobs in jewelry CAD. But here, an AJ component can just automatically flow a perfect pavé pattern across a really complex surface. If you want to adjust the stone size or the spacing, you just move a slider, and the whole layout recalculates instantly. That is a game changer. So when you put it all together, what does this actually mean for the modern jeweler? Well, it's about fundamentally rethinking the entire design process itself. This quote from the AlgoJewels guide, for me, is the absolute key takeaway. The tool handles the boring, repetitive math. It manages all the complex technical relationships between the different parts. And what does that do? It frees up the designer to do what they do best. Focus on the creative vision, on the artistry of the piece. And I really want to be clear about this. This kind of tech isn't here to automate creativity or, replace the designer. Not at all. It's all about empowerment. It's about giving the artist a smarter, way more flexible tool. Really, it's like giving them a much more powerful paintbrush, one that lets them explore all these amazing ideas that before now were just too time-consuming or way too technically difficult to even try. By putting this kind of power right into the hands of creators, AlgoJewels is just blowing the doors open to a new world of design. And it leaves us with a final, really inspiring question for every designer watching. With tools this fluid, this intelligent, how will you reshape the art of jewelry?